So welcome back to my channel. This is Gamer Dom and another Rambles of a Fool. So fairly quiet this week in World of Tanks. Often happens just before a new patch is coming in. Not so much news, not so much about to happen because the patch is on the way. So only a few days away now. So but we have got some more detail on the Italian tanks. So tiers 8, 9 and 10, the stats for those. Preliminary stats, obviously, because it's still going through test and we'll have to see how they come out at the end of it. Also some more details on a couple of maps, one old one, brand new one, and a couple of other bits and bobs. So anyway, without further ado, let's crack on. Okay, so we saw the tier 1 to 7 in the new upcoming Italian tech tree, and we've now got super test stats for the 8, 9 and 10s, which are all the ones with the auto-loading system, this new novelty auto-loading system. So the tier 8 medium Italian tank is the P44 Pantera. Looks interesting. 1400 hit points is okay. Engine power is a little light, actually, 630, but it is a very light vehicle, only 43 tons maximum weight, so power to rate ratio is nearly 16, which is okay actually. 55 top speed, 20 in reverse, no jokes about going backwards in Italian tanks please. Turning speed 38 degrees per second and turret turn speed of 31.3, so all pretty reasonable. Ground resistance 1.055, 1.15, oh yeah, but actually pretty good, so ground resistances are okay as well. View range 380 is very good, so it's going to be a good viewing tank. Signal range nobody cares about. Armor 70, 35, 25. Turret 80, 45 question mark. Looks like there could be a bit of a gun plate on there, so that may up the front of the turret a little bit, but really this is a tank that uses mobility and gun depression and that bursty gun to get its shots away and doesn't really want to get hit. It's one of those support mediums. Uses a 90mm gun, as we suspected. Penetration is actually pretty good, 212 with the standard rounds, 259 with its premium. Don't know what those are. What is the premium? Doesn't say. Okay. Oh, it looks like there's another gun as well. So yeah, so 259 with premium rounds is not particularly great. I suspect they will be heat, but I don't know for sure. 240 average damage is pretty standard for a 90mm. Rate of fire 15.121 rounds per minute. Now there's a lot of question marks around how effective these guns will be, because of course they have this auto reload system. So they have a just to try and explain it without confusing people even more, it has a 3 shell clip. If you fire one shell, just first shell out of it, it will instantly start to reload that shell, unless you fire the second shell, in which case it will start to reload the first one, then the second shell. And so the reload time's a little bit difficult to be sure. And if you look at pure stats, the DPM is pretty woeful compared to many other tanks, but it's kind of an autoloader, and it's kind of a hybrid. Best thing I think is to think of it as a hybrid between a single shot and an autoloader. So the problem with autoloaders is obviously they have very long reloads. This thing, when it needs to reload its entire clip, is only 20 seconds, which is not bad at all. But obviously if you're firing single shots, the fact it takes 11 seconds to reload one shell, yeah, is a little bit tricky. Now 2.5 seconds to once you fired one shell to then be available to fire the second shell, so that's pretty speedy. So tactically you're going to have a choice of, you know, do you fire individual shells or do you go in and fire all 3 in a burst? And probably different situations will be flexible, you know, to allow you to do that sort of thing. So you can imagine middle part of a game, you play much more of a single shot role, and then later on you decide to dive in and unload clips on damaged tanks and take them down, because 3 shells at 240 damage, 720, yeah, 720 average damage is pretty good. So you can imagine a half damaged heavy tank you can get on the flank of and unload 3 shells into, you probably take it down. So, and it does have the speed to get going and do that kind of role. So interesting. Now, I'm no mathematician at all, but I was watching Sam Lockhart's videos on the new auto-loading system, and he had all kinds of mad calculations, spreadsheets, and my daughter Imogen would have loved that. She loves this good spreadsheet. She's weird, as is Sam. But he made a really good point about, he was basically trying to work out the actual DPM, because the base DPM for these tanks is horrendous. It's one of the worst in the game. However, that isn't the true story, because these things can carry rammers, so this auto-loading system can carry a gun rammer. Also, if you put vents on it, you have girdles and arms, suddenly they start to improve. He also made the point that with a 3-shell clip, statistically they reload a lot quicker if you fire 2 shells. So you're better off not firing 3 and not firing 1. You're better off actually just firing 2 shells, and the reload time is statistically much quicker, and the DPM goes up. Now, I'm no mathematician, as I say, but that seems to be the way it works. So somehow with the 3-shell clip, firing 2 is quicker in terms of and helps the DPM considerably. And likewise with the 4-shell clip, which comes in the higher tier one, firing 3 shells is the most optimum to then reload. So yeah, interesting. So with this tier 8 one, accuracy of 0.355, which is okay, aim time of 2.21, not quite the sniper that the premium tank appears to be, but yeah, pretty reasonable. That'll still do a good job. Gun depression is excellent, -10, very, very good indeed. So ridge worrying time with this thing, and this looks like this is the stock gun, 203 penetration with standard rounds, 237 with premium. Premium is very low on both of those guns. But there you go, that's the tier 8, and this is the tier 9. This is Prototypo Standard B. Okay, tier 9, obviously 1,700 hit points. Engine power has gone up to 830. Still the weight hasn't increased, so it's considerably more nimble. 21 power ratio is very, very good indeed for a medium tank. A maximum speed of 65 and 23 in reverse. Turning circle is 42 degrees per second, and turret is 31.3. So this thing does look like it's going to be a real whippet. View range is an excellent 390 as well. I like the look of this tier 9. It looks very, very good indeed. Again, armor, it's designed really not to be hit, so 70, 35, 25 with the hull, 150 and 45 with the turret. Does look, from this picture, looks quite well rounded, the turret, and also this gun mantle looks like it's spaced armor, so you may get a few lucky bounces off that turret, but you can't count on it. So the top gun is a 105mm gun this time. Very nice penetration, 268 standard, 330 with its premium rounds, and 350 average damage. Rate of fire 10.66 rounds per minute. Reload time of 9.877. So again, you need to look at the clip size is three shells. Again, I think if Sam's calculations are right, probably firing 2 shells out of that clip of 3 is your optimum reload. But really, until we get a chance to play with it, we won't know. Accuracy is slightly worse, 0.36, and aim time of 2.4. So the bigger gun gives you less accuracy and less aim time. And also the gun depression suffers. It goes from -10 on the tier 8 to -8, which is a real shame because that would have been fun. But I guess it's got that speed, so that makes up for it. So you lose a bit of gun depression for speed. The stock gun is the 90mm again, 112 sorry, penetration, 259. So it's basically the same as the tier 8 gun. So I like the look of the speed. I like the look of that. Yeah, the speed looks fantastic. I mean, this thing will zip around the battlefield like crazy. And again, you've got that tactical decision on, do you fire single shots, 2 shots, or unleash all 3 shells in rapid succession. It's going to be interesting tactically to try those things out. So finally, this is the tier 10. This is the Progetto M40 Mod 65. which is again, it's a medium tank, obviously. 1,900 hit points is not bad at all. 830 horsepower with a 42-ton weight limit. Again, is going to be very nimble. 20.75 power ratio is very good. 65 top speed, 23 in reverse, and turning circle is even better, 54 degrees per second. Turret at 34.4, so this really looks like it's very, very nimble indeed. Ground resistances look a little, I don't really understand the ground resistances. That looks a little bit worse than some of the others, so maybe you're going to lose out on that. View range is 400 meters, so yeah, maximum will be a very easily achievable. Hull armor, again, pretty much the same as the last one, slightly better turret. 70, 35, 25 on the hull, 120, 80 and 80 on the turret. Gun mantle looks a lot smaller and doesn't look quite as well rounded, so you're probably not going to bounce as many shots. I mean, you are a tier 10 medium, so you're getting smacked by some big ass guns, but at least they're not in auto pen range unless you get on the sides of this tank. So 105mm gun again, 268 penetration. That's the same as the tier 9, isn't it? That's not very good. And 330 with premium rounds, 350 average damage, rate of fire 13.8 rounds per minute. This time it comes with a 4 shell clip, and the full reload is 8, 10 and 12, so 12 seconds if you unleashed all 4 shells within this thing, and 3 seconds in between each shell reload. Accuracy 0.34 is actually very good, and aim time of 2.21. Gun depression goes back down again to -9, so that's interesting. The tier 10's -10, the tier 9 is -8, and the tier 10 is -9. Not much logic there, but hey, who cares? This is World of Tanks. Who says logic needs to get in the way? So there you go, there's your 8, 9 and 10 stats for the Italian medium tanks, soon coming after patch 1.0. Again, big proviso, these are super test stats, so it could well be these change, but that's where they are at the moment. Interesting. So personally, I think Fjords must be one of the worst maps currently in the circulation in the game now. It is horrible if you're in a light tank. There's so few places to go and influence the battle, unless you're a battling light tank. TDs, well, there's a couple of camping spots if you're in the southern spawn. You can just go and sit on that sort of hill peninsula thingy. Artillery, very limited places you go. It's horrible unless you're in a heavy tank. I think that's pretty much the only thing that's any fun in this thing. Or a very, very speedy medium can have a bit of a laugh with it, but so they're looking at some changes to Fjords, which I think are welcome. I'm not entirely sure I kind of get it. They said they've flattened it out a lot, made it more balanced, and also increased more cover. But the biggest change appears to be this massive central area here, which was always much more slopey than I think it's going to be now. But look, there's not an ounce of cover here. There used to be cover all around here, some here. So what they've tried to do apparently is they've leveled the central field and added cover and vegetation around the edges for camouflage. So as a result, tanks will be fighting from a distance, be more effective, and light tanks will be able to scout more efficiently. So I kind of get that, because you know the current meta of this map is close-up fighting. You can't really, if you've got a sniping tank, there's very, very few places you can go, or you know, a lightweight support tank, there's very few places you can go to influence the battle. So you ended up getting loads and loads of TDs and light tanks sort of sitting here, some tanks up round here, and then the other way around you get a few sitting up here, loads sitting down here, and then all the heavies would come trundling down here. And if you were really adventurous, you might get a few tanks coming down here and here. But you know, at least that I guess makes it a little bit, because this is flat now, or flatter, the line of shots are going to be much better from here. So I guess, yeah, you know, you can get into these sort of positions here and snipe across at each other, work your way down through the bushes here if you're really ultra stealthy. Interesting. They've added an easy entry to the central hill, so this is it. Both teams can use this to tip the scales in their favour. In addition, we've developed this position to give it more importance in the game. So you can see there's a road that leads up here and a road that leads up here. So a bit like cliff really, and it looks like you can get up on the top here. Much more easily. I know some people can. There are a couple of climbs, I think, particularly from, I think it's only from this side, which again is one of the unbalances of this map. But this looks like this remodel will allow people to come up into this central hill and battle it out. And if you can get up here, you can really have some influence. A as spotter, but also if you've got a good gun depression gun to poke down. Capturing the central hill is risky, but the juice can be worth the squeezing. What a lovely phrase. By taking the hill, it gives control of the center of the map and allows allied tank support. Okay. Changes are made to the structure and layout of the city, and now it'll be easier to navigate and allow for certain maneuvers. Looks like there's a bit of a square there, which wasn't there, I don't think. This used to be... There wasn't anything here, I don't think, was there? So, well, I think that's interesting. So you've got some nice heavy area here. You've still got the corner here for the heavies. TDs and mediums have got much more to play in. Light tanks have got a risky option to go flying up the hill. You've still got the people who can go up round the hill round here. I wonder if this has been flattened down. If this is flattened, that might be flattened. But that would give this team a considerable advantage to get to that bottleneck. So maybe they won't. I don't know, we'll have to see. Artillery locations are now more balanced. No longer will arties be able to fire from a safe place, zone 10 on the old map, as heavy tanks located in location 1. Don't know 1 is, but used to sit here and fire to here and up round here, and from these positions you could fire down and hit tanks here. So yeah, well, whatever. I think that's good. Tweaks to terrain across the map makes it possible to choose various angles of attacks. These routes are viable for all classes, enabling to move more freely. So yeah, I think that's good, really, don't you? I think it's anything that balances a map out. I always say I hate maps that are one-dimensional. If there's a map that gives something for all classes of tanks, that's the ideal. You don't want to go onto a map and just go, what's the point, really? So, you know, even something that Himmelsdorf, well, Himmelsdorf is a nightmare. You go in a lightweight light tank, and it's hard to really be motivated to do much because it's really hard to influence the battle. Now, very good players probably can, and you know, but they'll influence any battle. But the rest of us, we struggle. So at least if there's a map that's got an opportunity for all vehicles, that's good. That's a good thing. So I'm heartened to see them continuing to mould and look at maps, and those changes of Fjord, I think, on the whole, look pretty good. Let me know what you think down below. Okay, so very early days and not an awful lot of detail yet, but looks like another map is being tested on the Super Test server at the moment. Let's say very early days, hasn't been modelled completely yet, but it hasn't even got a name. It's an Asian themed one apparently. 1,000 meters by 1,000 meters. And what's interesting about this one is you can see from this image, I can't make it any bigger unfortunately, but it's completely mirrored, so you got exactly the same things on each side. So I think they're trying to test out how that works, to see, you know, whether mirroring gives a better game. I don't know, really interesting to see whether that's the case. Here's some early shots of what it looks like. See, very early modelling here, nothing much has been set up. Sort of semi-open. There's a village obviously down there. This coastal area looks interesting. There's the centre point. Don't know what that is supposed to be, but it's islands. Open positions for TDs by the look of it. Yeah, so there you go. So interesting looking. Yeah, again, I repeat myself every time I talk about new maps, but I think any new maps are a good thing. Just for variety. If you get the same map coming up time and time again, it is so frustrating. So it's just nice to see something different. And a mirrored map, I don't know. I guess stop all the whinging about, oh, we're on the weak side, I'm on the strong side. Each side would be the same. Just doesn't seem quite right somehow. Yet more fantasy coming into World of Tanks, as if we didn't need any already, any more. Anyway, let me know what you think. So I don't know how many people who are watching this channel actually have any clan reward tanks, basically, for those who don't know, when clans do clan wars, which is a whole different thing, separate to strongholds, separate to standard random battles and those sort of things, this is a kind of a limited period competition between various clans competing for resources, and the top teams and the top players within those teams get the rights to buy they're not given away, right, to buy special premium tanks that the likes of us oiks can't get our hands on. Now, it's always been one of those funny things. Generally, these tanks aren't actually particularly great. They're just novelty factor more than anything. There's a couple of exceptions, but generally these aren't particularly the best tanks out there. But it's just kind of the kudos thing of being able to get a tank that nobody else will get unless they happen to be part of this elite crew, and they've lagged behind a lot. I've heard a lot of rumblings from people saying, they're just not worth it. But of course, you kind of feel pressurised into buying them because you'll never get the chance to buy them anytime. There's a fixed period where you can buy them, and then once you've bought them, they'll never be sold again. And generally, they seem have so far never to have sold a reward tank separately, so they are purely for Clan Wars rewards. So if you've got one, then they're lagging behind, and I guess they're rusting in the garage. So they're looking at updating them a bit, as they are with a lot of tanks. So this is the American M60. God, read, Dominic. So better mobility basically seems to be what they're improving here. Premium ammo going up. Another 20 mils, because 330 wasn't enough, 350 is better. Aim time has gone up considerably. Look at that, 0.73 to 0.53. Accuracy slightly better. So basically they've improved mobility and the gun on that thing. The T95E6, I think that's a heavy tank. I don't know, because as I say, I don't have any. Again, improving. Look at the DPM increase, 300 DPM increase. Wow. Load time's gone down considerably. That's why rate of fire therefore gone up. It's also, but it's lost 100 hit points, and penetration on its standard ammo has dropped, 258 to 248. Go figure. Going to need more gold, boys. This is the infamous VK7201K. Looks very familiar, doesn't it? If you've got a German tier 10 heavy tank, the Panzer 7, they're identical. Lazy wargaming. There you go. Yeah, so this thing again increased hit points to 2,500 to 2,800. Penetration with premium rounds goes up. There's a story here, isn't there? Aim time goes down. Accuracy gets better. Accuracy on the move all gets better. So yeah, basically improving that tank considerably. This is Chinese T121B. Again, better reload time, better accuracy with the gun, better penetration with its premium rounds. There's a theme here. So those are all going through super test at the moment. We'll see what comes out of it, but I think for us plebs out there, you'll notice probably what we'll see is the fact that these things will become more prevalent in the higher tier games, because suddenly these players will start to play them again who've earned them. So the biggest challenge I have with these is I don't know anything about them, so I don't really know where to hit them. I don't know what their weak spots are, so and generally it's a very good player driving the thing, which kind of makes it challenging. But anyway, there you go, updates to more tanks, more. And finally, I always used to have on the news, in the UK at least, at the end of a news programme of lots of serious gumph and rubbish, they go, and finally, it'll be some light-hearted story. So I'm going to do, and finally. Weird story of the week. Wargaming aiming for Guinness World Record. So you think, oh, what are they trying to do? Maximum, the most number of players that are available, playing the game, playing an online game, the biggest use of gold in any online game. I don't know what they're looking for. Most number of space stations built, but no, it's much more silly than that. So they are attempting a world record this weekend at the Arnold Pro Strongman Australian event in Melbourne, Australia, with which Arnold Schwarzenegger is overseeing apparently. So this geezer, Eddie Williams, who is an Australian strongman, is going to pull an 8-ton FV-102 striker tank 10 meters, and will try to be the fastest person to ever do that. And it will presumably be branded with World of Tanks and blah 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 blah, and it's to celebrate update 1.0, which is coming out in a few days. So yeah, weird. And you can watch it live streamed if you want to. This is on the Daily Bounce. Go and find the story yourselves, and you can see. If you really want to see a strongman pulling a tank, you can knock yourselves out. So I hope you found it interesting, useful. As I say, it wasn't a big one this week because there isn't much happening, but I look forward to the new patch coming in by the time we do our next Rambles, hopefully next week. Make sure you've spent your rewards from Christmas if you haven't already done so. I would suggest that you, at the very least, you put the discounts on the tanks that you want to put them on in the tech tree, and you get your women crews assigned to a tank, even if you then use it on a different tank later on. It's just not worth the risk. The women will go if you haven't assigned them by the time the new patch comes in. The tech tree thing, I think it should be fine if it's applied to the tech tree, but if you've still got it as yet to be assigned to a tank, then you will lose it by the time 1.0 comes in. So use it or lose it. Anyway, I hope you found this interesting and entertaining. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. And in the meantime, enjoy your games, have fun, try not to take it too seriously, and I will see you again soon. This is Gamerdom signing out.